everybody, welcome back for a final time in 2018 to the Adult of Desserts baking channel. Today we are making not just any old strawberry champagne whatever treat, we're making decadent white chocolate, gluten-free and vegan, strawberry champagne cake truffles. When I'm looking for different recipes to innovate or to even make for this channel, sometimes I'll go to Pinterest and I see a lot of recommendations are for strawberries and champagne cupcakes or cake or anything flavored. Now I've always kind of been averse to doing this sort of recipe, mainly because when you bake with wine, the wine flavors kind of go away unless they are super concentrated. Strawberries and champagne together, you know, just drinking champagne with strawberries in it, sure. I'm sure that could work, but in a baked good, I don't know. I thought I'd try it today, see how it goes. So if you're interested in my experiment with baking with champagne, or you want to learn how to make strawberry champagne cake truffles, make sure you stick around. For those of you who are stumbling on our channel for the first time, welcome. My name is Katerina. I'm the Chief Dessert Designer and founder of Adult of Desserts. Adult of Desserts is a gluten-free and vegan bakery and baking mix company from Hamilton, Ontario in Canada. Our YouTube channel is full of gluten-free and vegan recipes that are super simple and are made from our premium baking mixes. But all of our videos contains information, techniques, and tricks to making your gluten-free and vegan baking the best. So if you like baking at all, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything Adult of Desserts. And now without further ado, let's get into the champagne experiment. For this recipe, we're going to be using our Cloud9 vanilla cake mix recipe, and it is even simpler than it normally is. We're going to just be adding to our mixing bowl some sunflower oil and a cup of champagne. No apple cider vinegar here because champagne is already acidic enough and bubbly enough to help make this cake rise. Now I've heard this technique where using a can of Coke in chocolate cake really makes a vegan chocolate cake taste really good. I've never worked with carbonated things, so I'm kind of intrigued by it though, so I'm definitely going to be trying a bit more of that out in the new year. But for this recipe, we're just putting in the champagne. Now vegan champagnes can be hard to find. Oftentimes the processing of champagne involves gelatin or egg albumin or lactose, so you gotta check up. Barnivore is an amazing resource. Also, for those of you who don't know, that champagne and sparkling wine and prosecco are pretty much the same thing. There's a few differences, but why people call it champagne and sparkling wine and why there's such a huge price difference is because champagne is made in the methods that it was done by the original people who made champagne in Champagne, France. Sparkling wine, prosecco, any of those things, as long as it does not involve gelatin or eggs, will work for this recipe. Once you've added in your wet ingredients, pour in the dry and mix it up until it's all well mixed, and then pour it into whatever baking sheet you want. We're going to be crumbling up this cake. It does not matter what you do with it. I'm putting it into a baking sheet for the quickest baking time possible of 12 to 15 minutes, but by all means do you. Once you've poured it and spread it, you're going to bake it. In my case, as I said, we're going to bake it for 12 to 15 minutes. And once it comes out, you're going to let it cool completely. In the interim, let's get making our strawberry champagne jam. I know that the champagne taste isn't really going to come through after being baked off in the cake, so I thought let's put a filling of strawberry jam that we can infuse into the frosting as well as in the middle of each cake truffle, because what's a truffle without some sort of super exciting surprise in the middle? We're going to be using about 400 grams of frozen whole strawberries. You can use sliced too, it really doesn't make a difference. As well as a full cup of sugar. I know it's a lot, but trust me, we need to do this because we're also going to be adding in a full cup of champagne. Now we need this sugar here not to make this any sweeter because it already is going to be a super sweet jam, but to help reduce the champagne into a syrup. Essentially what we're going to do is once we've gotten that champagne strawberry syrup to a boil, we're going to leave it on a medium to high heat, probably around the 6 burner mark, and let it reduce for about an hour. After about an hour, if it's still looking a little bit on the runny side, you can turn it down to a 4 and you can keep reducing it. It's going to have a really dark pinkish red color. Once you've gotten that, you let it cool completely. We're going to move on to making the frosting, and for the frosting, I'm not going to make it on camera. If you want to learn how to make our amazing vegan Swiss meringue buttercream, which is what I use for this recipe, you can just click on the little information icon right up there and it'll tell you how to do it. So the first thing to do when making these cake truffles, we're going to take our cake and we're going to crumble the bejeebus out of the cake until it becomes just a bunch of crumbs, which is fantastic because gluten-free cake crumbles on its own anyway. So really, gluten-free cake is the best thing for these cake truffles. Just saying. Once you've crumbled everything, you're gonna grab a bowl and you're gonna put cake into the bowl with a scoop of frosting. You're gonna want the consistency of this to be on the drier side rather than the wet side because too much frosting is gonna make it taste really oily. And then once you've mixed that all together and all the cake seems to be kind of covered with icing, it looks kind of like gluey and it's become its own kind of form and shape. You're gonna take some dough in your hands. Yes, it's time to get dirty. You're gonna flatten it right out. And you're gonna scoop a tiny little bit of jam, even a little bit of a berry, into the middle of your little cake truffle flat disc. And then you're going to fold it all up and try and make sure that the jam stays inside. If it doesn't, not the end of the world. Once you have finished making your truffles or you're just tired and you don't feel like making any more, you can stick that sheet right into the freezer and you're gonna need to let it freeze at least for 3 hours or overnight, because once that's frozen, we're gonna be dipping it in white chocolate. To dip these in white chocolate, all we're doing is taking the frozen ball, dipping it in some white chocolate that has been melted, and we're gonna do this twice. Once it's solidified, and then do it again. You can even do it 3 times to make a nice, really, really hard shell. Totally up to you though. And as a final little fancy touch, I'm gonna add some sprinkles, confetti and fireworks on my cake truffles because I said so. All right, it has been 24 hours. These puppies are solid, like solid. They look amazing. Let's try one, see what it tastes like. My final verdict, interesting. I thought you wouldn't be able to taste champagne, but in actuality you can, but not in the way that you would typically expect to taste champagne. I don't taste the grapiness or anything. I kind of taste the dryness and the fermentedness of the wine, which is, I don't know if I like it or not. I think it's good. Overall, the little cherry center that's going on here, the cherry center there, that is like making this really good. White chocolate, obviously, it's freaking delicious. The cake too, it's soft. It's tasty. It's very tasty. It's just different. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in and watching my strawberry champagne white chocolate cake truffles. If you enjoyed this video and you want to stay up to date with everything else, Dolled Desserts, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the little bell so you can get all the notifications of all of our latest videos. And if you do decide to make cake truffles of any kind, whether they are strawberry champagne or not, and you use our methods, make sure you show them on social media and tag us at Dolled Desserts Baking. Thanks for watching and have a sweet, happy, and safe new year.